Hey Hattiesburg, it's Toby Barker. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon's briefing. Of course, we will go over today our latest testing numbers from all of our healthcare organizations. We'll talk about restaurants. We'll talk about what parks will be coming available tomorrow with the governor's executive order this week. We'll talk about our free drive-through testing event that's going on next week. We'll talk about some non-COVID news that we're going to be able to keep curbside recycling and of course, our regular act of courage. Today's numbers feature all of our healthcare organizations and their system-wide numbers. This is Forest General's 19 counties, Merritt Health Wesley's 18, as well as Samurai and Hattiesburg Clinic's several counties as well. So right now, system-wide, for all of our healthcare organizations, we've seen 6,901 total tests. 802 of those have come back positive. Again, those are not all active cases, and they're not all in Forest and Lamar counties. 5,573 have come back negative, and we have right now 525 tests that are pending. Our overall goals and everything that we do is to protect vulnerable populations. Those are people over the age of 60 and people with underlying or chronic health conditions such as diabetes or COPD or asthma, or maybe they're undergoing cancer treatment right now. We also want to prevent overrun of our healthcare system by slowing the spread so that if and when you need healthcare for COVID-19, there will be sufficient capacity for you. We look at hospitalizations and ICU admissions in terms of trying to maintain capacity in our healthcare system. Right now, between Forest General and Merritt Health Wesley, there are 40 people who have been diagnosed with COVID who are in the hospital. That's a little bit above the average of 36.43 over the last 14 days. We have 2 patients right now who are showing symptoms, but we are still awaiting their test results. Right now in the ICU, we have 18. Almost all of those are at Forest General. That's down 1 from yesterday and a little bit above the average over the last 14 days. When you look at these kind of on a chart, you can see that our hospitalizations have been kind of high and are peaking right now. We hope they're peaking. We have been between 35 and 41 over the last several days. Our ICU admissions today, again, on the higher end, but we were down 1 from yesterday, and that's kind of staying between 15 and 20 right now. And so we're trying to see where's the leveling off point going to be, because we know that everyone wants to get things going again. Our local numbers, we have Forest County with 273. That's up 14 from yesterday. Lamar County has 127. We have a total of 400 for the metro area. We're starting to get new positive cases every day in kind of clusters, and we can kind of see this in our 5-day average, which is also concerning. We thought we had peaked in mid-April, and that's why you see that sort of peak there around April 15th. That's the day that we had 20 new cases, and then the 5-day average, of course, takes that day, the 2 before and the 2 after to give you that average. Forest County right now is at its highest 5-day average since this began, and we went up again today with the additional 14 new positive cases. Lamar County, for the most part, has stayed between 2 and 4.5 in terms of a 5-day rolling average. But again, the fact that we blew through our peak and are kind of reaching a new peak now is of particular concern for us. Because when we look at reopening, we look to the White House and President Trump's and his task force's own guidelines for how we move forward. These are not requirements, but they are guidelines on how a region can open safely. They look at symptoms, look at cases, look at hospitals. Of course, as a city government, we look particularly at cases. And there are 2 things that they really want you to do before you move on to the next phase of reopening. One is a downward trajectory of documented cases within a 14-day period, which we don't have right now because we are in the middle of a new peak. Or secondly, we see a downward trajectory of positive tests as a percentage of total tests within a 14-day period. We're not hitting that one either, according to our testing partners at Hattiesburg Clinic. And so I think the question now is, given Governor Reeves' most recent executive order, when can restaurant dining rooms open again? Governor Reeves did allow for restaurants to go 50% capacity as long as their city or county did not set stricter regulations. And so seeing a few things over the last few days have caused us particular concern. For Forest County, our 5-day rolling average of new positive cases is at an all-time high. Again, we thought it had peaked in mid-April, and now we've kind of blown through that peak now. We also know that we've had more people in the ICU with COVID over the last several days than we have since this began in mid-March. And 8 of the 17 COVID-related deaths in Forest County have happened in the last 8 days, and that's a particular concern. Again, we go back to this 5-day rolling average where Forest County continues to climb. There's not a leveling off yet. What we hope to do is to see some of these things start to dwindle or to level off. And so we've made the decision as a city that we are going to delay opening dining rooms and outdoor seating for restaurants in the city of Hattiesburg. I know this is frustrating for restaurant owners who have taken it on the chin since this began, and we want restaurants open. However, we want to make sure that we are not making a challenging situation potentially worse by opening up too soon. And so what we'll do is for the rest of this week, we're going to watch our local data. And that's one thing we've talked about, is being mindful of local data. To hopefully make a decision next week that we can start allowing communal dining. And so we will watch that 5-day rolling average and see if it starts to come down or level off, and then hopefully we may have some good news next week. But as for now, we're going to try and make what we believe is the responsible, prudent decision for the public health of Hattiesburg, knowing that we also want to get reopened. However, one thing that we will be going with the governor on is in his Executive Order 1478 is that he is opening municipal parks and outdoor recreational activities for an outdoor maximum of 20 people. Those will stand without additional restrictions right now, starting tomorrow. One part of that is our tennis courts. We will be reinstalling the nets at our tennis courts. We'll be doing 5 nets at Tatum, 4 at Camper Park, and all of the facilities that have 1 court, we'll be putting those nets on as well. And so we're trying again to see these individual and small group recreation come back, knowing that we're not all the way there yet, but we do. Hattiesburg has some great parks. We want to get people out. We want people to be healthy. We want them to be healthy mentally too. And so we look forward to seeing our parks reopen tomorrow. I want to remind you that next week there is an opportunity for free drive-thru testing at the Family Health Center at 66 Old Airport Road in Palmer's Crossing in South Hattiesburg. This is being sponsored by Semri, and they will be set up between the hours of 9 to 1 at the Family Health Center. And we hope that if you have not been tested and you want to do something very convenient, you can drive through there and get that done. If you're watching from Perry County, there'll be one the following Tuesday, May 19th in Beaumont, and there'll be one the following Thursday in Seminary if you're in Covington County. And we hope to be announcing more drive-through testing and community testing things in the coming days. Some non-COVID news. Last night, the City Council voted 4-1 to maintain our curbside recycling program with a new recycling partner. The partner we had over the last 6 years, they were having such low volume, and the price of commodities had changed, and so they were not able to take our unsorted material anymore. And so we looked at several options and decided to go with Republic Recycling in Baton Rouge. They'll drive up and pick up our recycled materials periodically, and then take them down there, and they'll be able to sort them and then get them to their place. And so we're able to do this and continue curbside recycling, which has been a very popular program. The one downside is the $3 fee that we set in 2014 will now go to $6 this year. Again, this is an optional program, so if you decide that $6 is too much, you can always discontinue that program. We'll be sending a letter out, and we expect this new pricing model will go into effect July 1st. But if you want to opt out, you can call 601-545-4631. And if you want to opt in, if you haven't recycled yet, you can go to hattiesburgms.com/recycle. Our act of courage today on the theme of restaurants, I just want to spotlight and thank our restaurant owners. I know that the past 2 months have been very frustrating for them, and a lot of them have sank a lot of their life savings into their work. Our restaurants are not just places that we go and eat. They are economic drivers. They are cultural institutions where so many of us have so many fond memories of being a Hattiesburger. And we look forward to getting them back open in a safe and timely way. We do encourage you that if you have not made plans for the rest of this week and into the weekend, that you would consider either getting a gift card or that you would go and pick up delivery or get takeout food from them. That's one way that you can support our local eateries as they try and we try to find a mutually way forward that will preserve public health while also making sure that they have the space they need to operate creatively. And so as we go into this Wednesday evening and tomorrow, please remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself physically and mentally, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and if you can, stay home. And I just encourage you to have courage and be kind to one another, and we'll get through this together.